Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Creepshow. And before I get into the review, just to let you all know, I'm like my neck might be like really stiff in this video. I just had a little injection, so I can't really like move my neck too well. So I just wanted to let you all know, so you don't think I'm like some weird freak or anything. But hopefully that doesn't detract from the video. I don't know. They'll be like, who's this weird freak? But anyways, we're doing Creepshow today. Picked this up the other day on Blu-ray. I always have to flex my DVDs and Blu-rays, make y'all's is jealous. You see what I'm saying? Look at that. All that glare. Maybe I should do something about that. No, I'm just playing. So yeah, picked up Creepshow the other day. I was at this little specialty movie shop. Had to pick up some essentials for October, and here's the deal. Okay, the only movie in the Creepshow franchise that I've seen is the second one, and I really like the second one. The first two segments in Creepshow 2 are absolutely incredible. The first segment with the Native American statue slaps. You got the boy Sam Whitemoon, classic character, and then the second segment in Creepshow 2, the one with the raft, is also excellent. The third one, it's just okay. It's, take it or leave it. But yeah, Creepshow 2 is awesome. I'm a big fan. That's the only one I've seen before. So the original Creepshow, this was a first time watch for me. And in terms of my overall opinion, you know what? I was a big fan. This was a solid movie, and it should be solid because you got an all-star team behind it. So this was written by Stephen King, straight up ledge right there. It was directed by George Romero, another legend. And you want to know who did the makeup? Tom Mother Effin Savini. So straight up dream team right there. So I mean, can the movie be bad if you had these individuals involved? It's very unlikely, very unlikely. Moving on though, so I gotta jump into this right away. You got the man, the myth, the legend, Tom effin Atkins, bro. Right off the bat. And when I first saw Tom Atkins, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm here for it. I'm gonna dig this. And right away he's sipping a beer. So I mean, much like his character in Halloween 3, hey, it's getting late. I need a drink, I feel you on that, Mr. Tom Atkins. But anyways, I mean, he's the man. Cool to see him in anything. And he's sipping a drink. Bonus. Speaking of drinks, people probably just think I'm an alcoholic. I want to just anytime there's anything revolving drinking, I have to give it an honorable mention. I mean, I like I like sipping some drinks. What can I say? In the first segment, the one with the rich individuals, the one woman, she's sipping a big old bottle of Jim Beam, and I had to do a double take. I'm like, is that Jim Beam? And I was like, yes sir. Once again, let's effing go. She's got the Jim Beam going on. That's my go-to liquor. I mean, I like, sipping beers, of course, but in terms of liquor, I always keep the Jim Beam on me. That's my fave, you know. I mean, I like whiskey in general, but bourbon just hits different. It's just bourbon's a lot more smooth than regular whiskey in my opinion, and Jim Beam is my favorite brand. I like all the little flavored ones too. Like, I mean, usually I'll just stick with the plain Jim Beam, but the Jim Beam vanilla, oh my goodness, that's some delicious stuff. Um, yeah, and then, you know, the only other liquor that I really like, I like dark rum. So yeah, the bourbon and the dark rum, those are my go-tos, but the Jim Beam is really my go-to. I always keep a bottle of that on deck just in case. Um, but moving on from alcohol talk, but yeah, just in general, man, the people were just sipping all kinds of drinks in this movie, just turning the F up, man. Everyone always seemed to have a drink going on, have a drink in their hand, which you know, I can get behind. That's pretty cool. But enough talking about alcoholic beverages. Let me actually get into some other stuff about the movie. You know, there is other stuff going on here. Um, Gotta just give some shout outs to the cast. You had a all-star cast, of course. Tom Atkins, the man, Stephen King. He was like the main character in an entire segment. And the second segment, Stephen King was the main character. He played this kind of hillbilly type guy. Stephen King killed it. He was amazing. That was kind of a fun segment. It was funny when his character would daydream about all these possible scenarios where he, you know, he gives this meteor to a college, and they give him, you know, fat stacks. Like $200 isn't really fat stacks, but I mean, maybe in 1982 it was a little bit more than it is now, but I mean, still, I mean, for a meteor, 200, I'm thinking at least you got to get a couple thou for a meteor, you know. Take it to a meteor auction, man. 200, you could get, am I hearing a 3,000? Am I hearing a 5,000? Am I hearing a 80 mil? No, I'm just playing. I mean, meteors, they're not going for that much these days, 80 mil. But maybe in 1982, you know, you could get fat stacks for the meteors. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm rambling. But Stephen King, he killed it. It was funny too. It was, you know, I'm just gonna continue rambling, whatever. But it was funny too. He had that daydream about going to the doctor's office once he initially found little green stuff on his fingers, and the doctor's like, yeah, we have to cut off your fingers. So yeah, all this little daydreaming was pretty darn funny. So back to me just shouting out the cast. You got Adrienne Barbeau. She's been in a ton of stuff. I know her from The Fog mainly. That's you know, the main one that I'm remembering. And man, I gotta rewatch The Fog soon, because I haven't seen that movie in a minute, and it just came on Tubi. So gotta rewatch The Fog. I've never been the biggest fan of The Fog, but I mean, I'm a John Carpenter fan, so I gotta rewatch that. Another honorable mention for cast members is, you got Tom Savini has a little cameo towards the end. Cool to see him. You got Leslie Nielsen is a main character in an entire segment. I mean, he's the man, and it's cool because, you know, he's usually a comedic actor. It's cool to see him in a serious role. I think, if my recollection is correct, man, I'm pretty sure he was in Prom Night as well, and he played a serious role in Prom Night. Because the first time I watched Prom Night, actually I think I've only seen Prom Night one time. I got it on DVD, and it's like the worst DVD ever. It's like, maybe it's just that movie, but it's like the lighting is so bad. Half the time I can't tell what's going on in that movie. But I was watching that, you know, the first time I saw it, like I said, which is the only time I think. But you know, I was watching, I was like, is that Leslie Nielsen? What the heck? What is he doing in a serious movie? But, you know, he plays a serious role. He does an outstanding job as well. And then the last cast member that I really recognize is Ed Harris. He's been in a ton of stuff as well. I really mainly recognize him from The Truman Show. You know, he plays the guy who's talking to Truman, and he's pretty much like coordinating the whole Truman Show. So cool to see him. He's been in a bunch of stuff as well, though. So yeah, had to shout out the cast. You got an all-star cast. Great people behind the camera. Great people in front of the camera. That's all we need. So I'm gonna get into my favorite segments here. So I don't know what's my definitive favorite. That's kind of hard. I don't really do rankings on here, but I really liked the segment that took place on the beach with Leslie Nielsen, and I also liked the segment with the crate. The beach one was actually just extremely scary. Just the idea of being buried up to your neck and having the waves come and slowly drown you. That premise was extremely scary, and I don't know, something about drowning is just extremely scary. But when it's drawn out like that, that would be an even worse way than if you were if you just somehow, if you were chained down to the bottom of a lake, or if you were someone tied an anchor to your leg and threw you in the ocean. That would be an extremely scary way to go. But something about being buried up to your neck and having the waves slowly drown you, where it's like you can get a breath for a second, but it would take so long. It would be so drawn out, so painful, and you're trapped. That whole concept was extremely scary to me. And Leslie Nielsen's character, he was scary in the fact that he was torturing these people. He felt no remorse. He was almost getting satisfaction from it. Yeah, that was, and I thought the ending to that segment was kind of clever. So that segment I really liked, and the crate segment was also awesome. I just felt like, in addition to the beach segment, the crate segment was the other segment that really actually captured my attention. Some of the segments I didn't really get that into, but it's an anthology. Every segment's not gonna hit. You got just some mid segments, but the crate segment was cool. The creature looked absolutely fantastic. I think it was some sort of killer ape. I don't know. It wasn't a werewolf. At first I thought it was a werewolf. It was more some sort of prehistoric ape with some crazy teeth going on. Who knows? But anyways, it was from the 1800s. That's how animals looked back in the day. Couple hundred years ago. All the apes just had these crazy fangs going on. So they didn't even have to do any makeup effects. They just thought out a preserved ape from the 1800s that wouldn't even make sense because there was no ice age. It was only 200 years ago. I'm just goofing off. I'm being a silly goose here, but that segment was absolutely awesome. I liked Adrienne Barbeau's character. She was this just absolutely annoying person, and her husband, he's just this kind of soft-spoken professor, and she's just loud and obnoxious and not very intelligent and just mean to her husband all the time, and he's just fantasizing about killing her. So even though you should never kill anyone, it just because her character was so annoying, it was kind of satisfying when she died. And I don't know, I felt like I really liked the creature effects on the monster. I feel like that was one of the better executed segments. The story just that one too. I like the ending in that. I feel like that was just a well executed story. It was a good segment, and it really, kept my attention. So those two segments were my fave, and pretty much all the other ones were good. I mean, probably my probably my least favorite would have to be the one at the end with the cockroaches. That one was just it was just whatever. It wasn't bad, but didn't really do much for me. But anyways, moving on. I kind of mentioned this already when I was talking about that creature in the crate segment, but just the creature effects and the gore effects overall were absolutely fantastic. They were utilized in every segment. Every segment, even if it didn't have like a creature per se, there were some serious makeup effects going on. There was all kinds of stuff. Like, in the second one, Stephen King's character, he has all this like alien greenery, all this alien shrubbery growing off him. Just every segment, the creature effects were absolutely fantastic. Tom Savini killed it. It was, this is from the 80s, so of course it's practical, and this is top tier makeup effects right here. I feel, I mean, this is early 80s too. And because it's the type of thing, if you look at the movies that Tom Savini did early on, he definitely kept getting better. And movies like Friday the 13th, the makeup effects in that are amazing, but I feel like this is only a couple years later, and you can tell he just got like exponentially better. So it's cool to see kind of like the evolution of Tom Savini's work. Like he just kept on outdoing himself. So yeah, shouts out to him. He absolutely killed it in this one. And then I only have like a couple things here left to talk about. This is an anthology, and you know what? I think it was an extremely solid anthology. I really liked, quite a few. Like, I really liked the majority of all the little segments. The effects were great. All the stories in each one were really good. So it was a solid anthology. I really liked it. It had like a really strong sense of style. So this movie is, it's paying homage to horror comics of the 1950s, and between each segment there's these little like animated little comic book transitions. I mean, they're longer than just like a 1 second transition, but that's the best way I would describe them is they're like these comic book transitions, and there's little comic book graphics that they add, like that they sprinkle throughout the movie as well, in addition to the little transitions between entire segments. And they kind of give the movie like a little comic book feel, because a lot of it, like for small segments, they'll have this kind of unrealistic neon lighting, and it looks absolutely amazing. And it like makes the whole frame look like it's like a comic, like it makes it look like a panel in a comic book. It just, with all the colors popping, it looks really good. So the style is absolutely amazing in this movie. I think it's cool that they paid homage to the 1950s comic books. They definitely nailed the feel. Not that I would know, because I haven't read any 1950s comic books, but they nailed it in my opinion, from what I know about 1950s comics, which is probably not that much. But anyways, in addition to the style being really cool, man, like I said, the content was good. It's a good anthology. I messed with most of the segments, so you got good style, you got good content, good people in front of the camera. I don't know why I keep hitting my leg. Good people in front of the camera. Good people in front of the camera. Who's behind this camera? This guy's bad. He can't even say words. But in addition, why do I keep saying in addition so many times in this review? I don't know. But yeah, as well as having great people in front of the camera, you had great people behind the camera, and something else that I like. This is like the last thing I have here in my notes. I liked how each segment had like a very bleak, downer ending. In the horror genre, did I even say the horror? I think I said like in the horror genre. Man, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that's what it sounded like I said. But in the horror genre, gotta enunciate. In the horror genre, I feel like downer endings, they're a staple of the genre. And for the most part, I enjoy a good downer ending for a scary movie. But sometimes they make me mad. Like if it's like just a jump scare ending, get out of my face with that. Or if it's like sometimes when you have like a protagonist who survived through a whole movie, maybe it's a slasher movie, and then they just die like at the last minute, I get kind of mad. It's like I invested all this time following this character. I mean, all these other people died, and the body count, it was already good, and then you had to just kill them last second after they survived through all that. That makes me like legit depressed. So I don't always like a downer ending, but I feel like in all of these little stories, the downer ending worked. It was satisfying. So it was pretty cool. It was a nice little touch, a little creepy little, added a creepy little feel to it, added a nice horror element, But yeah, that was basically the last thing that I had here on my notes. So I'm gonna wrap things up here in a second. But in terms of a recommendation, I would absolutely 100% recommend this movie. It was pretty darn good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. If you're a horror fan, if you're a fan of horror anthologies, this is a great watch. So, like I said, that was the last thing I wanted to say. So I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.